Hello, my fellow humans. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel. Triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message does resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be here sharing them with you. We are doing the last of the series, which is the air signs. Last but definitely not least. This was just the pattern that I went in, and that was the pattern I was called to do. So we are doing Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius today. This is for any air sign placements. So whether that's planetary housing placements, does not matter. This should give you some guidance in regards to that area of your life. We're going to dig in and find out what that is. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to our prayer and we'll get your reading underway. Okay, my beloved source, this prayer is for anyone and everyone that comes on to this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. I ask that you bless us with open hearts, with clarity, with truth, and with breath. Breath to bring us back to this present moment. Sometimes we get so caught up on what it is that's going to happen next, or even stuck reminiscing about the past, and it's hard for us to move on. But that our breath can be a powerful catalyst to reminding us of the power in this present moment, the gift of this present moment. And today I ask that you help bring us back to that space, to help us clear our hearts, clear our minds, and to know that we need not necessarily take any action, but we can if that's what we feel called to do. But that we are enough right now in this moment to receive love and abundance, prosperity, to receive guidance, help, and assistance. And that you are always and will always be with us on our journey as we're moving forward. As these words are spoken today upon this tribe and onto this reading, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. So let me go ahead and get that set up over here. You guys might hear things outside. I do have the windows open today because it's absolutely a gorgeous day. All right. So I am continuing on with the pattern of choosing your own oracle deck to pick from today. So with that being said, for pile number 1, we do have the Enchanted Unicorn Oracle deck by Vonic Magic, or Priest. It's by Priestess Moon, but I think this is someone who helped, or no, I guess it's done by Rockpool. My bad. It's by Priestess Moon. Such a fun deck. This is such a fun oracle deck. I love it. Okay, or we have this dice with the North Node for you to choose from. Or we have this little banjo pendant for you to choose from. Okay. Pile number 2, we have the Soul's Journey Lesson Cards by James Van Praagh. We have this dice with the South Node for you to choose from. Or we have this chakra pendant for you to choose from. And pile number 3, we have the Self-Love Oracle by a Culpriton. We have this dice for you to choose from with Pluto. Or we have this unicorn pendant for you to choose from. So we pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, and whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the pile for you, and I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the North Node on it, or perhaps you felt called to this little banjo pendant, or maybe you were drawn to the Enchanted Unicorn Oracle by the Priestess Moon. This is going to be a reading for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It does not matter if these are your mains. This is for any placements that might reside in an air sign for you. This should give you guidance in regards to that area of your life. So first off, I would like to say welcome back to those of you that are returning viewers. Thank you so much. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. We do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message does happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you. So with that being said, let's hop to it and find out, Source, what Enchanted Oracle card, Unicorn Oracle card will help us better understand the message today for pile 1, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. For Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, pile 1, Source. Okay, that one there. Thank you. Okay, and on the bottom of the deck, we do have Love Spell. Attract a lover with number 32, which is 5. 5 is all about change. And, you know, 5 is kind of like a love or hate number. I feel like the change that 5 brings, because sometimes it can be incredibly uncomfortable. But when we look at it like in terms of like a flower springing up from the ground, we're going from being in the ground to actually being out in the elements. So we're shifting elements. It's not something that we're familiar with. It's okay, Angel. It's okay, baby. And so with Love Spell here, attract a lover, I do feel like you're attracting in your partner. But also the change here is maybe being open to who it could potentially be, which can be very challenging in this day and age when we have really relied on labels to tell us who we're supposed to love or what that love is supposed to look like. And sometimes that's a challenge because we've become identified with those labels and with what they should or should not mean. And labels, all they really do is limit us, and that's why it's important for us to remember to keep an open heart and an open mind. Also, you could have done a love spell recently. I am fine with love spells. I am not okay with love spells that are directed at a single person, though, because I feel like we're infringing upon their free will. They either love us or they don't, but us trying to force them to love us is we're not allowing source to bring to us who's for us. And so that's something I just want to point out here, and I feel like it's coming in really strongly. So if you've put a name on there, like it has to be this person, and you've done multiple love spells and it's not working, that's also a reminder that maybe instead of being so obsessed or connected or worried about it being this person, opening up to the potential of who it could be. And that's something that's really powerful coming in here. And again, I know that's not what everybody wants to hear, and I can appreciate that, but it's also just the reality of the situation. You know, we're here, we have free will, and we want to make sure that we, especially if we do spells or anything along those lines, we don't want to harm another person, right? We're not out to manipulate another person, and that's what our spells can potentially do when we put them on a single person. So rather, we want to open up to the possibilities and trusting that the universe and source and spirit will bring us exactly who's meant for us. And that's where our stability lies at. And so I do feel like many of you are attracting in a very powerful person that is falling in love with you, but it's going to be vastly different than what you're used to. Hence 5 being a very uncomfortable place of change, but very necessary, right? So let's get some more messages here, source, for pile number 1. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. What more would you like to say for Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius today, source? Okay, hold on just a second. I need to move my table over for Zoe. There you go, babe. Okay, so we've got the 10th house. Interesting. So you got the south node in here instead of the north node coming through, which is very interesting. So letting go of what has been blocking us or limiting us. So with the 10th house, Leo, and the south node, again, we're looking at someone for dating, right? With Leo energy is dating, expression, our inner child, sometimes can connect with drama. Very chaotic, egoic energy, right? Vain, very vain, pride. So we have these energies that are coming in, reminding us that it's okay to let go of our pride, which that's why I said, like, sometimes with labeled connections. And again, I'm not here to put the label on it for you. You'll know what I mean when it comes up. And if you don't know what I mean, then that's great. Just keep an open mind, okay? But this is for those people who are on these situations where they're very hyper focused on it being a certain person. And if it's not that person, then it's somehow the end of the world, or there's no one else in the world that I can love. And that's a very limiting way to look at love, considering that love is infinite. While we'll never love a person the same way, which is true of anybody in our lives, we will never love another person the same way we have ever loved anybody in our lives, because they're a different person. Love is infinite. It can forever be tapped into. It's not something that it's only one and done and that's it. That's a very, very limited way of looking at love. It's also very blocking to love. And that's the thing here. And so this is something also I feel like for many of you is that you're here to help shift the way we look at love. Because we're talking about love here, and I feel like we're here to shift that, but I do feel like you're also working on some limiting barriers and blockages for love with the 10th house coming out here. Because it can talk about our father wound. And if we didn't have a father who was nurturing or loving towards us, or even just gave us constructive criticism, we could have grown up with a very hyper strict father who is very disconnected from his emotions, not willing to love us, left all the love up to the women or the more feminine energies in our lives, which could have also been lacking, you know, and very, very much this, I'm never going to succeed if I don't reach a certain potential. And that's what's coming through here. And this is something that's needing to be observed, to let go of with the South Node here, is recognizing that there's a lot of drama and there's a lot of resistance that's coming from this pattern or this paradigm that has been, feels like, drilled into you since childhood. And maybe that's why it's so easy to cling on to a certain label of love, because that feels freeing even though it's constricting. And that freedom says, like, oh, you know, like, I can love this one person the way that I love without restraint. But also, if that person doesn't love you back in that way in the physical, it creates a lot of internal dialogue saying, obviously, I'm not good enough to receive this love, or I didn't do enough to receive this love, or I need to change who I am to receive this love, or I need to be more successful to receive this love. And that's why it's so limiting, is because it's making us put a lot of pressure on ourselves to become a certain version that we think will elicit a change in another person to come towards us and give us love. And that's not at all the case. When love is infinite, love is true and unconditional, you're loved no matter what. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter how you act, you are loved. And that's what Source is teaching us. And so I feel like for you, Pile 1, this is twofold. You're either here to help teach people that. For others of you, you're here to step into that version of love where it's not limiting yourself because of labels, or it's not limiting yourself because of past situations. It's not limiting yourself because of strict circumstances that you grew up in. It's allowing yourself to be free to express yourself without reservation and without worry of being denied love. If you're denied love, regardless if that's your supposed person or not, again, I'm not here to tell you that they are or they aren't. That's not my job. And it's unfair when people say it is their job to tell somebody that, because first of all, that person has free will. They can make choices. Yes, there are certain things that are destined for us to happen, but just like when you were in your shadow, you made decisions and choices that might not have benefited you because you were coming from your emotional ego. Likewise, we don't actually know where another person is on their journey because we're not taking their journey. So we have to say that it's safe to say only a fool thinks they know everything, right? So when we let go of this idea that we have to have a certain person and open up to letting Source bring in the right person for us, whether it's this person or a new person who's going to love us unconditionally, 11:11 on the clock, right? It's allowing ourselves to grow in the space of love and unconditional love. And even if we have unconditional love for said person, we can say, I'm okay with or without this person. My life does not deserve to be put on hold because of where this person is or is not in their life, or because this person is showing up or is not showing up for me, right? And that's another thing that's coming in here. So very powerful message for you already. Let's dig in a little bit more here. For Pile 1 Source, for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Yeah, there's a lot of broken hearts that are coming in here. A lot of emotional instability. So you could be dealing with people who you've placed a label on who have just no want to heal. Wow, your cards came out so weird. Okay, so we're going to go with it. That was so random how they came out. This one popped out, and then these two somehow were pulled out of the bottom somewhere. So like the cards I was shuffling somehow grabbed them and pulled them out. That was such a trip. So, all right, hold on. I don't know why. Okay, hold on. Let me take a breath. Just a second. See, I feel like there's this discombobulated energy that's coming in all of a sudden. I want to flip these over. I'm actually going to flip these over before we look at the bottom of the deck because they want to flip over. But there's discombobulated energy here. It's almost like if you're not hearing the message that you want to hear, or like, oh no, this person's coming in and they're coming in soon. It's almost as if you jump from place to place. It's like, well, let me go find someone who's going to tell me what I want to hear rather than hearing what I need to hear. And that also comes from the father wound, because it's when you get that constant criticism, it's all you can do to encourage yourself to go forward and do the things that you need to do in life, or to have courage to express yourself freely and to step into your path of purpose. But it's like also realizing that if all you want is to hear what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear, there's no growth there. So you get stuck in a constant cycle. And so you might only go to certain people who tell you exactly what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear to grow. Right? And those are cycles. And yes, there are people who do that. There are people who only talk about the most positive aspects of the journey. And we forget that this journey of love and light is also riddled with shadow and darkness. Why? Because we live in a dualistic world. And if we try to shut out the shadow and the darkness, we actually prevent ourselves from experiencing the whole spectrum of love, because we're saying that, oh, if it's not light, bright, and positive, then I don't want it in my life. But life brings very negative and unpositive things to us. It just shows us that it's trying to humble us and remind us that this is also a part of the journey. And so some things are very unpleasant in life, but that does not make them wrong, and it does not make them bad. It just means that this is a part of my life that I'm supposed to be present with to understand more about myself. Okay, so yeah. So with the nameless card here, what you might know as death. So Libra energy, Scorpio energy, and Aquarius energy. This is, okay, so with this energy here, with these two here, this is like fighting the transformation for me. She's on the warpath here, this Queen of Swords, as I do not want this transformation. I'm being stubborn. I'm being rigid. While she's not in the reverse, there's just a really strong, powerful energy that's coming from her right now. I want to protect this idea that I have, turning my back on the fact that it's hopeless or that it's not going to come to fruition. One second. Excuse me. My goodness. Sneezes of confirmation. Whoa. Such a loud sneeze. Okay. So, and this is the thing. It's like they're battling one another. The change battling the want to stay rigid, the want to stay in an old belief, the want to keep things very cold. Like, I'd rather be cold believing in this fantasy that may or may not ever come true than to transform and let it go, because it's the thing I identify with. It's a thing that I'm so used to holding on to. But she has her back turned to the reality of the situation, which is maybe things aren't meant to work out the way that you believe they are, that you're expecting them to work out. And thus you're preventing yourself from seeing a deeper truth, a deeper reality of yourself, okay? And again, it's, yeah, there's someone here, or there's a, and I feel like this is so difficult to talk about sometimes. And I know why Source wants me to talk about it. And I know why Source brings me. That's why I always talk about how love readings with me are vastly different than love readings with other readers, because I'm not here to tell you just, oh my gosh, they're so in love with you, they're coming, they're stepping forward, all good things tomorrow, right? Because it's not. Like, I've done enough love readings for myself. Like, I know that's not how tarot works. I just know that's not how messages from Source work either. Like, Source sometimes gives us some very challenging messages so that we can grow. It's not as punishment, right? And so with the King of Swords here, there's someone here, or it's a belief, okay, but I do feel like there's someone here who has been manipulating you into believing the rose glasses version of this situation. And again, I feel like that's either a community, a group of people. It could be tarot readers that you're watching. And I'm not here to tell you who's right or wrong for you. That's not my job. But this is what it feels like, a community, especially with the star next to the King of Swords in the reverse. And they're using it as a means to get themselves ahead. People will always flock towards what they want to hear versus what they need to hear. It's just a natural part of humanity. because people want to hear the good. They want to hear the bright light things. They want their ego to be fed. My ego's right. My emotions are right. Like, nothing can go wrong when I follow my emotions. But the spiritual journey reminds us that our emotions sometimes get us into some really sticky situations, and we'll put our backs up against the wall because we'll project without realizing we're projecting, or we are following some crazy part of our emotional ego. And so there's a lot of smooth talking that's going on, a lot of fancy words that are coming through that are convincing you of something that's meant to happen. This could be even this person manipulating you with their smooth talks, but yet the whole time they're looking at you as somebody that they can bamboozle, as somebody that, like, oh, they're gonna fall into this idea that I have, that I'm talking to them about. And there's something here where you're fighting your own transformation, especially with the nameless card to come out as the first card in the upright. There's this ask to allow this transformation to happen, but you're fighting against it. And here's the thing, like, you can keep fighting against it, that's fine, but it'll still be there poking at you in the back the whole time, because it's asking to be recognized. And I feel like the recognition comes from, what are you identifying with? Are you saying that if I don't get said person in my life, right? Are you saying that's it for me? I'll never love another person? What a crazy expectation to put on oneself. You're basically saying, I will never have love for another person, which is limiting to love, which is what we talked about in the beginning. Love is infinite. Talk to a parent who has multiple children, who wanted multiple children. Talk to parents who have 7 or 8 kids. Like, let's talk about that, right? They wanted a big family like that, not just because they kept having kids, but because they wanted a big family like that. If you talk to that parent, you'd be like, did you ever think you were going to love your other kids as much as you loved your first kid? They'll probably tell you no, but when that child was born, they realized that love is an infinite well that they can draw from, and that they still love their kids as much as they love the other kids. But the unique thing about that is, if you have a parent who really loves their children, they're going to tell you, we love all of our children equally, but they all get different kinds of love because they're attentive to their children's needs. And that's exactly how it should be in life, with friends, with family, with our lovers, with our romantic interests. We're never going to love anybody in our life the same. And even if there's somebody here who we have an exorbitant amount of love for, but they ghosted us, or they're not in our life, or they're just viewing our social media and they're never talking to us, right? We're putting our lives on hold, saying, I'll never be able to draw from the well of love again because I've never felt love like this. That's true, but it's true with anyone else too. You never felt a love like that. Think about it, like all your exes, did you love them all the same? No, you love them differently, right? That's how love is. It's just, that's the way it works. And I feel like Source is just trying to point that out to you here. It's, stop limiting yourself. Stop putting a barrier. It feels like a self-made barrier, right? Yeah, so Scorpio, this could be a Scorpio that you're dealing with. Intensity, exposing, standing out here, purging and renewing, right? Renewal here of your spirit, of your journey, of yourself, of your light, the yin energy, intuition, trust, patience, spirituality, and receptivity. We have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Okay, so again, opening up and being free to receive those intuitive guides and those intuitive nudges, even if it's not what you want to hear. And that's sometimes really hard for the journey. It's as if Source is reminding you that sometimes you're going to hear things you don't want to. And I know a lot of people in the spiritual community are saying, that's wrong. Source will never tell us things that we don't want to hear. Look, when I was with my ex, even though it was an abusive situation, I was 100% invested. 100% invested. And I'll never forget when I started this spiritual journey, Source asked me if I was ready. And it was like when I was starting to understand my gift and I was starting to understand how I could communicate with Source. And I came across this video to open up my third eye. And I remember there was an intro in that third eye video where he said, only be prepared to watch this if you're ready to let go of what you know. And I put it in a saved folder for 2 or 3 weeks before I watched it, because I was scared. Even going in, I knew the first thing I was so afraid of was that they were going to tell me that who I was with wasn't for me when I was so invested, even though I knew it was toxic. I was so scared that they were going to tell me this is not right for you. A toxic situation. So imagine if we're thinking something isn't toxic. We're putting the blinders on, right? And we're so invested. We get so scared when someone tells us that might not be for us. And the thing that we're scared about is being wrong. That's what we're most afraid of, is being wrong. Like, what if I'm wrong? I invested all this love and this light and I put prayers for this person. Well, that's never going to go to waste. That's all going to come back to you, right? So, and I feel like that's something to remember on this journey, is that if you can overcome the fear, there's so much wisdom on the other side. Like, I think about that now looking back. Like, if I had never overcame that fear, I would still be in that terrible situation. I might even have kids with him. And that's frightening to me. That is so scary thinking about now. I would not be who I am. I wouldn't be here sharing the wisdom that I've gained through all these years, nearly a decade now where I've been doing this. And, you know, it's just, it's amazing to me how just being brave enough to face our fear gives us so much freedom that we never could have understood when our fear was running us. So we have vigilance, stone people, staying true to your path. And I feel like this is just a part of your spiritual path that's coming up. Like, this is your spiritual path asking you to step up into a higher version of yourself. But I do feel like love is coming for you. And I feel like that's why it's important for you to stay true to your path, because love is coming. But I do feel like there's some resistance to allowing love in, because what if it's not who you expected it to be? Well, what if it's not? What if they're a million times better than that person because you don't know who that person is, or you haven't been able to talk to that person? What if? Yeah, King Neptune, sensitivity. So it's interesting because this is like Piscean energy here. And I know that we're doing this for air signs, right? But you could have Pisces energy highly aspect in your chart. You could even have Scorpio energy highly aspect in your chart. But I do feel like with sensitivity coming through, it's like this is a very sensitive topic for you. And understandably so. I remember when Source told me that I know who my twin flame is, and I know, I know this journey. I've been on it for a long time. And the thing is I remember I was meditating with Source, and he came in. And then Source came in and they were talking to me, and Source said, what if he's not the one you're spending your life with? And I remember for weeks, I was like, are you kidding me? And I know there's going to be people out there being like, she's not on a real twin flame journey. That's what people say. They feel like if it goes against what I want to believe, then that's not what it is. And that's cool. I'm not here to convince you that I'm on one or I'm not on one. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is share my own experience, and maybe that'll inspire you to dig deeper for your own. And that's truthfully what I'm here for. And I feel like it was just so shocking to me, because it was like I understood in that moment, and I felt it in my heart. Like, I knew the connection that we had, and I understood that our connection was very profound, and there's no way to explain it. But when that message came in, there was also like a relief and a release from my heart space saying, like, I know that this is a truth for me. And I know that this is a truth for me because we're on we're on 2 different journeys in this lifetime. And where he's headed versus where I'm headed are like in opposite directions. And that's okay. Like, I've been trying to be supportive for him. I've been trying to be there for him. But I realized, like, in doing that, I was disconnecting from myself, expecting that I could heal him to come to me. And that was such a burden. And so I finally had to surrender to that, right? So yeah, there's something here with stop. Being willing to stop holding on to an old way, to stop something in its tracks too, right? Like that's what this feels like. It's okay for you to stop holding on the way that you've been holding on, because maybe it's not beneficial to you, you know? And surrender is where we're trying to go. That's why there's a lot of caution here. You're exercising extra caution here, and that might be why you're going from certain readings to certain readings. Like, oh no, I need them to tell me what I want to hear because it's easier for me to hold on to this. But I just feel like you've identified with it, with a person. You've identified with a person and a certain outcome with a certain person that is keeping you in a state of lack. Yeah, shift. 565, take a look at where you're at your life and see which areas need to be shifted to bring you more joy. Take the time to reassess your priorities and create a plan for yourself. And again, it's okay. Like, I don't want to argue with those people out there who say that it's otherwise, but I recognize that the more people argue, the more that they're coming from their emotional ego, the more that they're coming from a need to be right. And that's why I just kind of laugh and say only a fool thinks they know everything, because a lot of these people that are talking about these connections, they're not even in their connection themselves. They're not even in a physical manifested version of that connection themselves. And that's why I kind of laugh at the absurdity of it all. Because it's just like everybody's trying to tell everybody else exactly how it's meant to be, but they themselves don't even know how it's meant to be. I'm coming from my own place where I've received guidance, and that's my experience. I'm not saying that has to be your experience or that that is your experience, but the message coming through in the cards is very clear. Like there's a fight to hold on to an old belief. Then there's a need to shift, because holding on to this old paradigm is creating a lot of discontent in your journey. To balance yourself here, 222, maintain balance and harmony in your life to manifest your desires. Yeah, so coming back to a state of balance, right? And it's not up to us. And I feel like as a divine feminine, it's really frustrating because everybody's convincing divine feminines that it's up to the divine feminine. Or no, what I should say is that they've convinced everybody that it's up to the awakened one to do all the work. What a burden. It is not up to the awakened one to try to heal someone else. We can only heal ourselves. And if that healing elicits change in another person, what a wonderful blessing. But that's not for us to decide. Resolution. Whatever it is that you've been struggling with is about to be resolved. Remember that resolutions don't always happen in the way we hope or want, but being able to move forward and start fresh always brings relief. Exactly. Now I know why they wanted me to share the story of what I experienced with this. And I'm going to tell you, like, I never stopped loving him. Never, not once. Like, I still love this person so deeply and so profoundly. Like, I never, not once. But I also recognize the reality of the situation. And we're never separate from one another. Like, I still ask him in meditation for assistance and help, and he always gives it freely. Like, it's not something that I'm missing out on in life. He's with me constantly. I feel him before I start these readings. Like, it's not something that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm always going to be without him. Like, he's already here with me all the time. Right? But everybody's so focused on the 3D connection, and maybe we're meant to have different people that we love in our lives to make twice as much progress for humanity. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm fine with that. That's a cool way to look at it for me, because, you know, like he's gonna inspire change the way he's gonna inspire change. But right now, like, he's just on a vastly different journey than what I'm on, and that creates a lot of dissonance for us in the physical world, and that's okay, right? Yeah, meta with vulnerability. It's hard to be this honest with yourself, and it's hard to, and I get that, and I can appreciate that. But it's that very honesty that's going to help elicit that change. Yeah, and then we have Uma with watch your words. And also, that's the other thing. It's like, if you're... Like, I just be wary. Be wary of judging people, like, too much, you know, like what they're saying to you. Or be wary of the things that you're receiving as downloads, especially if you're receiving multiple downloads or multiple guidance from this. And suddenly you're just saying, like, no, that's absolutely not what I want. Like, here's the thing. Like, you can say that to source. You can say, like, I don't want that guidance at all. And it might go silent for a while. But just like I said earlier, like, it's going to eventually poke you in the... It's going to poke you in the butt. Like, it's going to keep poking at you because you know it's your truth. And it's like eventually you're going to let the ego quiet. Or if you're not, you're just always going to be stuck in these repeat cycles, and years, decades could go by and you're wondering why nothing in your life has changed when it's come to your love. And that's why. It's because you're holding on to an identity. And so it's necessary to watch your words. Like, what happens when someone brings up that you might not end up with your labeled partner? Like, do you get really triggered? Do you get really mad? Do you get really sad about that? Do you get really upset? Right? Those triggers are showing you that you're holding on to the outcome rather than letting things flow. All right, so just a natural. Seeing things from a higher perspective and seeing clearly too here with the hawk. It says the ups and downs in life are just natural phenomena. Don't dwell on it too much. Just let it happen. Accept the changes in your life and face them with equanimity, and you will be more calm and relaxed. Yeah. You know, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, sometimes they'll come, sometimes they won't. But it's like, if we want advice from people who are saying they're masters in this area, but they themselves haven't even manifested their own twin. Or if you've seen, what was it, Twin Flame University? There's a documentary. I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but it's absolutely wild to see that. And it's like, when I watch that, I don't see love. I just see control and I see dominance when I watch that. And I feel like that's the thing. It's like, if we are being told by people that it has to be XYZ instead of being open. Like, again, I'm not here to say that this person is or isn't your person. That is not my job. But I feel like it's important to stay open to the potential of who can come into your life that's going to help take you to the level you're meant to be in this physical world. Does that mean that it has to be this labeled person? Not really. It means it could be anybody. But opening yourself up to that and taking off the pressure from yourself can be more freeing than just holding on to the identity that it has to be this person. So let's see what your card is. I'm going to read this from the book, okay? Rainbow. I love this. Feel at peace. Yeah, and I feel like that's the thing here. There's an alignment. There's also an awakening that's happening here for you. There's an awareness that's coming in, and it feels like with this rainbow, but I do feel like this is alignment and coming into this place of peace, the balance, right? So there's something here that's out of balance when it comes to love. And so it's important for you to keep this open mind to come into this place of balance. Number 22, trusting in the process. I have the hiccups all of a sudden. And just like that, they're gone. So random. Just take up one time on a reading as just like a sneeze of confirmation. We have the hiccups of confirmations too. Okay, so it says wheatgrass refers to the tender new shoots of the common wheat plant and is considered to have excellent health benefits when juiced or taken raw. Rich in chlorophyll and vitamins, this potent green potion is seen as one of nature's superfoods. Wheatgrass is often taken as a healthy tonic to repair, rejuvenate, and cleanse in the physical body. And in magical work, it's used in spells for healing and restoration. So this is about restoring your spirit. This rainbow yogi unicorn is feeling at peace with life, the universe, everything. Rainbow contains all the colors of the chakra in perfect balance and in perfect order. The unicorn is all about repairing and restoring the mind, body, and soul. When this card appears, rise above petty arguments and the vagaries of life with music, art, poetry, prayer, ritual, and the beauty of nature. Find something to aspire to, something that makes your soul sing. Practice balancing the energy centers in your body, the chakras. These little wheels of light located in your ethereal body process energy just as your physical body processes food. To put it simply, the first chakra, the red root chakra, connects to the earth through our legs and feet. The sacral chakra is orange and located in the reproductive area. The solar plexus, yellow, and oversees your stomach area. The heart is green and located in your chest area. The throat is blue and protects the throat and thyroid. The brow chakra is indigo and it's located at your third eye. And finally, the seventh chakra, the crown, is violet and located at the top of your head. This connects us to our guides and angels. This unicorn encourages you to find a good chakra meditation. There are plenty available out there, and practice this every day for at least 7 days. You may be surprised at the peace and clarity this simple technique can bring as it balances your mind, body, and spirit. So I do feel like this is very good for you, pile one. If you are really ready to do this, do a chakra balancing meditation for 7 days. And at the beginning of your meditation, ask what you want to know about this connection, but be open to the guidance you receive. Whether it's what you want to hear or not, be open to whatever comes through. So that way you can truly grow the way you're meant to, and not because it's you holding on the burden of someone else along the journey, okay? You know, this is a rough message, and if you made it this far, I'm so proud of you. This is a big deal. It means you're ready to hear this, okay? And a lot of confirming messages that came through for you today. But if you felt like this was your message, leave the little rainbow emoji down below and say, it is through my alignment and trust in the process that I'm able to receive clear messages about what's right for me moving forward. And I make those decisions accordingly. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message today. And until next time, pile number one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the South Node on it, perhaps you felt called to this chakra charm. Maybe you felt called to this Soul's Journey Lesson Cards by James Van Praagh. This is going to be a reading for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and this is for any planetary placements or housing placements. This should be giving you guidance in regards to that. So welcome. If you are returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And for those of you that are new here, thanks for joining us. We do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message does happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And your time and your energy are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm honored to be here sharing it with you. So that being said, let's hop to it and find out, source, what Soul's Journey Oracle card is going to help us better understand pile 2 for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. What message do you have for them? Thank you. Okay, bottom of the deck, we have forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. What a powerful message to come in. So I do feel like for you, pile 2, your focus right now is forgiving a situation that has been very difficult for you to go through. And I know that that's a really hard message to receive. Forgiveness is hard. I actually talked about this also on the Earth sign zodiac reading. So you might have some Earth sign placements, but that did come up in there as well. But, you know, forgiveness is one of those things. It's like, someone really hurt me. Why on earth should I forgive them? But forgiveness frees us from the situation. And it's a daily walk. You know, it's not like, oh, I forgive them and then suddenly you're going to forgive them. But we say it over and over again so that we can one day come from a peaceful heart and knowing that we really mean those words. I forgive them for what they did to me because they knew not what they did, or maybe they did know what they did. But we're relieving ourselves from the chains of the past and the memories that came from that. Like every time we think of the memories, right? The resentment, the anger, the pain that comes up from that. It's not that it's not valid in its way, because it is. It is. How you felt was absolutely valid. But that keeps us in a repeat cycle when we're always letting those emotions rule us or determine our day. So if you go back and you remember everything that you went through with that person, and now you're angry and you spend all day angry, and you project it out onto other people, and you snap at other people because you're thought of this memory, right? Those emotions are now controlling you. And you are no longer the one in the driver's seat. Now it's this memory that's in the driver's seat that's keeping you from living in alignment with your journey. And I feel like that's why forgiveness is so hard, is because we don't want to look at it that way. But that's a really deep truth that's coming through here, is reminding you that forgiveness is not saying that I absolve them of their sins. Forgiveness is saying I unlock the chains that they placed on me by the way they treated me. And that's what it is. It's for you. It's not for them. And it will never be for them. And that's okay. So maybe there's some peace in seeing it that way, that this is not ever going to be for them. The forgiveness is not for them. It's for me. All right. So let's see what else comes out for pile number 2, source, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. What would you like to say? Pile number 2, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. What would you like to say, source? Yeah, 8th house. Sagittarius and Neptune. So whatever the situation is, it's been keeping you from truly enjoying life, and it is connected to the subconscious, and this could be an even deeper wound. So this could be a mirror to an even deeper wound that you have, a core wound. This could be something that has been repeatedly happening in your life. I feel like you are someone who doesn't share your feelings with a lot of people. Like how you feel about things. Like you're just someone that you would just rather ignore it and move on rather than sharing how you actually feel with somebody, because in the past, I feel like people have definitely invalidated your emotions or invalidated how you felt about situations. And so there's this feeling of like, what's the point of sharing my emotions with others when there's been so many people who made it clear that how I feel doesn't matter or it doesn't mean anything. And there's just going to be a lot of people like that in the world, pile 2. Like there's a lot of people who feel like, oh, like how you feel, that's none of my business, and I'm not going to put myself in your shoes. But if you're an empath, it's nearly impossible to feel that way. And that's why people are so attracted to empaths, because empaths are willing to put the shoe on the other foot. And if you've never received that yourself, but you've done that for other people, it can be so disheartening. And that's why I feel like forgiveness is such a hard topic to talk about, especially with people who are acute empaths, because it's like, well, but I would feel how they were feeling, like I would put that shoe on, I would walk a mile in their shoes, and I would understand where they were coming from. But I don't understand why they're hurting me, and I don't understand why they chose to single me out and hurt me. And so why do they deserve that freedom? Why do they deserve that forgiveness? But again, we're not forgiving them for them. We're forgiving for ourselves. And that's why it's because the pain and the anger is coming up. And it's not about finding a reason as to why they did it. People are always going to be people. People make choices every day. Also, it's kind of humbling to look at it and remember, like, we talk about that hurt people. And I feel like sometimes that is just an excuse for us to also not look at the times that maybe we unintentionally hurt somebody. Maybe to look at, to put it in the sense like, oh, whatever, like I'm always the innocent one. And I feel like a lot of times on the spiritual journey, that's a lot of us, and myself included, I went through this where it was like, I wanted to be the good guy and the victim because that felt better than putting myself in the perpetrator's seat. But it's like when I was being honest with myself and recognizing that there are times when I really did hurt people, and there are times when I said some things that were really ruthless, and I really did some nasty things in my life. I realize this, like when we're only blaming people for hurting us and not seeing them from their human self, which is exactly what we want people to do for us, we're blocking that off for us as well. We're saying like, well, I can't see other people for their human self, but I expect people to see me for my human self, for the mistakes that I make, and realize that's not the sum of who I am. And I understand there's some people out there who perpetually live in mistakes or who perpetually live in bad decisions. But again, it's understanding that they had wounds that brought them to that space. And I feel like this is something really deep for you, and that's really hard. And with the 8th house here, it's like talking about the shadow space and bringing back that power to yourself. But for now, whatever this situation is, it has a hold on your power because it has control over how you show up. And there's a lot to where you're good at putting on a smile, but sometimes your smile doesn't reach your eyes. And while not anybody around you right now really recognizes that or sees that, you're really good at pulling the blinders over people and making sure that you kind of fade into the background when it has to do with how you feel. And you've been doing that a lot with yourself. But when there's a huge emotion that's coming through, like anger or blame or shame or resentment's the one that keeps coming through. When that emotion is so huge, that's the one that comes to the forefront. And when it comes to the forefront, it immediately takes over. And you might turn into a bear. You might really project onto people without meaning to, right? And it's like, if people are like, hey, what was wrong with you yesterday? You know, I noticed that you weren't feeling good, or like, you know, you snapped at me for something you not normally snap at me for, like, you know, are you okay? Or people might not even ask if you're okay. They might be like, geez, you were just a jerk yesterday. Like, what the heck is your problem? And you might feel bad about it later on, but it's just, there's an emotion here that's controlling you that's linked to forgiveness. It needs to be forgiven. And that could be just forgiving yourself too. Right? I mean, we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to hurt people unintentionally. It's not like we're out here, especially empaths. Like, empaths are out here like, let me hurt people too, you know? Like, we're not trying to be like that. That's why I always try to remind people, you know, like narcissists. Narcissists are created. They're not born. And that sometimes is really challenging for people to grasp onto, because I think it's easier for people to demonize each other than it is to see, like, sometimes we're just humans and we're all bumbling around and have no idea what the heck life really is. And, you know, it's just easier for us to demonize each other than it is to accept each other for their flaws. You know, and that's what we're learning with the spiritual journey, is how to come into a place of acceptance of others for their flaws, no matter what it is. But acceptance doesn't mean an invitation. Like, and that's the thing that's getting kind of construed as, is like, oh, well, if I accept them, that means I have to keep them in my life. No. Acceptance means, like, I understand that you're a snake and you live in a snake den. I don't have to go traipsing into that snake den. I can totally walk a different direction. You know, it's like, we're not just going to put ourselves in danger because we accept things. We accept them. And when we accept them, we acknowledge it for what it is, which means that we can make discerning choices moving forward. What more would you like to say, Source, for pile number 2? Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Yeah, there's a need for change here. Interesting. Really some deep energy coming out for the air signs today. So, wow. Yeah, okay, so the transformation comes from you observing this part of yourself, this piece of yourself that you don't want to let go of, or holding on to this. And with the Hermit coming out on the bottom of the deck, there's power, right? Especially next to the nameless card 13, or what you might know as death, but in the Tarot Marseille, it's the 13, or it's just the nameless card. And, you know, there's power, there's empowering yourself through this transformation, through letting go. And right now it's illuminating that change and illuminating the death of the old and the rebirth of the new. Okay. And I feel like there's a little bit of fear here. Yeah. This is someone that you had a lot of ups and downs with. Okay, this is someone who is also very conceited or very arrogant or had a control over you in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like you gave this person a lot of chances, right? And so sometimes when we give somebody a lot of chances, we hold expectation. Well, I gave you all of these opportunities to straighten up. I gave you all of these opportunities to grow. I gave you all of these opportunities to make a change for yourself, and you didn't. So I expect you to take accountability for yourself. But we cannot hold expectations over others, because we'll always end up disappointed. And that's what I feel like Source is saying here. This is a situation that's very disappointing because there was a lot of dissonant energy between you and them, but I do feel like there was still a holding on to. With the Ten of Wands here, it's talking about people who go through a lot together, like thick and thin, you still go together, and there's a sense of like this should equal loyalty, but there was no loyalty in this situation. There was a lot of anger and hurt that's coming out here. There's also a lot of fear connected to this. Like, how could someone treat me this way when I did everything for them, when I put everything on hold for them? And it's hard. It's hard. And, you know, like they're reminding me, I went through this situation once with a friend, and this was with one of my first boyfriends. I had a really good friend. We'd been friends since high school, and we partied together every weekend. And I remember I invited them over to my house. I invited her over to my house, and she came in, and in the morning I had passed out. I was drunk. I had passed out drunk. And it was just the three of us. It was me and my boyfriend at the time and my friend. And in the morning, I woke up and I saw a used rubber in the trash. And I was like, interesting. And I asked them what happened. And neither one of them would tell me the truth, but I knew. I mean, like, I already knew what had happened, but in my innocence, if you will, or in my denial, I guess you could say, is that I forgave them both, and I stayed in that situation. I invited them back in. I invited her back into my home, and I kept her as a friend in my life for a really long time. And it wasn't until I started healing that I realized that I was an enabler, right? Like, I enabled a lot of shitty situations, excuse my language, but it was really shitty situations with my ex. And he just got it in his head that it was okay for him to do with whatever with the girls that came over to the house. And a lot of those girls had so much respect for me. Not my friend, but the girls that came over to my house, they would tell me right away when something like that happened. And look, I'm going to tell you, there was a couple times when I slapped him silly. Like, I walked up and just boom, I'd slap him. I'm like, I can't believe you did this. Like, you were trying to get it on with this girl, and she came and told me. She came and told me that you forced her on the bed and were trying to do stuff with her, you know? And so it was so interesting to see that, like, somebody that I felt like I was supposed to trust, we had been friends for a long time, we'd been through a lot together, and, you know, like, forget him, I'm looking at her, and it's like we had this connection, and we always believed that we were each other's best friends. I was like, best friends don't do that to each other, right? But I was so desperate for having that label filled in my life, that role and that position filled in my life, and I didn't want to go and find someone else, that I just brushed it under the rug. And then when I finally started healing, the anger and the resentment and the madness came out from that, and I was so mad. I was so mad, and I took it out on her. I called her a lot of names. I was like, I just can't believe you. Like, you couldn't even be honest with me, and you still want me to be in your life after all this time. Like, and you couldn't be honest with me. And she just said nothing. She just said nothing, which made me even more mad. And so finally I realized that holding on to this, it was just too painful. It was just too painful. I realized the type of person that she is now. I realized that she's not to be trusted, at least with me. She's not to be trusted. And I haven't been a friend. I have not been her friend for years. Like, it's been probably 12. No, gosh, it's been even longer than that. It's probably been 15 years. Like, it's been a long time since we last talked to each other. Been a long time. And I'm definitely saying my age here, right? Like, the thing is, though, is that I realized that she's just not someone that I need to have in my life. But at that time, I was such a people pleaser, and I was such an enabler. I didn't realize that. But I had to own my own mistakes in that situation, too. It's like, at that time, it was a perfect time for me to set a boundary and say enough is enough, and walk away from the guy I was with at the time, and walk away from her. But I didn't, because I didn't know how to do that. So I had to learn how to forgive myself for not knowing better. But when I finally was able to forgive myself and realize I just didn't know any better in that time, does it invalidate my feelings? No, I have every right to be angry about that situation. Made my blood boil. I really, truly was mad about it. But I realized that holding on to it didn't solve anything. It didn't hurt her. It didn't hurt him. It was just hurting me. And finally, I just forgave them because I realized it was just like, you know what? It was in a time in my life where I basically showed them that it was okay to disrespect me. And I had to honor that for myself. And that was uncomfortable. Like, it's super uncomfortable to admit, right? Like, it's like, geez, I just totally had no self-respect. But that was the type of environment that I was raised in. I was taught that speaking up for yourself was talking back. And so that dynamic played out in all of my life, even as an adult. Yeah, see, like, we have North Node here, destined to have. You're destined to have good things in your life. You're destined to have those strong connections in your life, but you have to let go of what the past was first. Because if you don't let go of the past, there'll never be any room for the new to come in. Stubborn energy here with the fixed energy, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Stability, persistence, loyalty, and dependability. But what's really coming through is stubbornness. And fixed signs are incredibly stubborn because they are the height of each season. They are not used to beginning, and they're not used to the endings, right? They're literally the peak season. And so they're surrounded by both sides. Like, so Leo's surrounded by summer with Cancer and with Virgo, right? So Leo only knows summer. And again, it's nothing bad. That's just a part of that energy. And so there's a lot of stubborn energy that comes from that, like a resistance to change, a resistance to see things differently. And that's okay. But it's just saying that you have an opportunity to build more stability in your life and more loyalty by choosing yourself in this situation and choosing forgiveness to free yourself. This is a long journey for you with mountain and strength, but it's also showing you a part of yourself that you did not realize just how strong you were when it came to situations like this. Passion with fire here, but I'm also getting anger. A lot of anger coming through here, a lot of red, a lot of, in the flames too, the fiery, it's very fiery energy here, very overwhelming energy, and that's understandable. It's like, I have a passion to stay angry. Look, I'm not invalidating that at all. That is, you're well within your right to hold that and to have that passionate anger. But from my own experience, I understand that it burns you eventually. At first, it doesn't feel that hot. But then eventually it becomes so overwhelming that the only opportunity, or the only thing that you can do is let go. That's it, because holding on to it just hurts. I remember reminiscing about that situation over and over and over again, and it just hurt every time, because the question was always like, why? Why did they treat me like that when I was such a good person? Why? Well, I was treating me like that. I had no respect for myself. Right? And that's, again, it's just looking at those mirrors. That's a mirror back to us. Not easy to admit, but very, very powerful when you choose to. And there's nothing wrong with you. I want you to know, like, that comes from childhood wounds, right? That comes from the state of which we grew up in. And honoring those moments, it's how we actually heal and choose a different direction instead of repeating those cycles. That, honoring that helped me set boundaries when I left my ex, my narcissistic ex that I was with for 8 years. Like, honoring what I went through in that situation, that helped me leave a very toxic situation later on. As I realized, like, I don't want to keep going through situations like this. I don't want to keep disrespecting myself because of fear or because of anger and my emotions getting the best of me. I'd rather use my anger as fuel to create a better life for myself, you know? Yeah, look at that, hell, the end of a cycle. And this is really, really telling. Hell is actually the daughter of Loki, the god of chaos and destruction. And so there's this energy where it's like there's a lot of chaos, a lot of destruction, but coming to the end of the cycle here is so powerful. It's like seeing the shadow clearly, right? This is the shadow energy with the shadow energy in the 8th house. It's like seeing the shadow clearly and facing your fears in regards to that shadow. The fear of letting it go, the fear of maybe saying that forgiveness gives them a free pass. It's the fear that's keeping you from releasing it, or even the identity that you've created around that situation. Love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. And this is a challenging one too. Like, what did that teach you? You know, I shared with you what my situation taught me. It taught me self-respect. And I never want to go back to that time when I just didn't respect myself. You know, like, I will always put myself first now. And that's the thing. It's like, I'll never be mad about that because that was such a powerful lesson for me. But that's how we come from a place of unconditional love. If it taught you to be kinder to yourself, if it taught you how to set a boundary, if it taught you how to say no, if it taught you how to walk away, that's a piece of gold. Rather than focusing on the anger that was there, focus on what it gave you. What did it give you that you didn't have before that situation happened? And trust. Yeah, and that's the other thing here. Trust that everything is as it's meant to be. Right? It wasn't punishment. This was not divine punishment. And I feel like that's the thing. It's like we're on this planet, in this realm, with 8 billion, right? Is that the right? Yeah, 8 billion other people continually growing every day. Okay, we're on this planet with so many other people, and we can't say that all those 8 billion people are going to act like us. Like, that is so limiting. It's safe to say that there's many perspectives as there are people alive, which means that people are going to show up however they are based on their perspective. But that does not mean that we can try to put them in our box and say, well, I would never show up like that, so it's unfair that you showed up like that. When maybe they're looking at us the same way. Like, I would never show up the way that you show up, so it's unfair that you expect me to show up that way. Right? But sometimes that's just how we see it. Well, I see the world from my box, and everybody has to fit like a cookie in my box in the right possible way. But what if you're trying to shove a bowling ball into a cookie box? Well, all those cookies break. Right? And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to shove something into our box. It just doesn't belong in our box. It's so funny that I totally forgot that I picked this deck for you guys, and I shuffled another card, which is so funny. I'm not even going to ask. Death. This is the rebirth. That is so funny. That Source just totally was like, yeah, get another one of these. All right. Let's get an angel number for you, pile 2. That's so fun. I just realized that right now. Like, as I'm over here talking, looking at the window, and there's this beautiful green yard out behind me. And these little, it's not little, there's like a whole thing that's surrounded by trees. It's like basically a cul-de-sac that's surrounded by trees and grass. And there's this robin that's sitting on the table. There's one space that's next to me on this side of the park, and there's a robin that's sitting on the picnic table right now because there's nobody in that space. So I'm just sitting talking to the window, and here I am shuffling, picking up shuffling. Evolution. You are spiritually evolving. Yeah, and emotionally moving towards greater wisdom and understanding. And unconditional love, like, that's the other thing, is like thinking about unconditional love. Unconditional love means to love no matter what. Not to love only when. And most of us are only seeing that for ourselves. Like, I want to be unconditionally loved by someone else. But we're not actually putting it on the other foot, right? We're not actually saying, like, well, what is it for me to unconditionally love the world? What does that mean? And it means that we love everybody equally no matter what. But loving everybody equally does not mean that we treat or invite in everybody equally. And sometimes that's where it gets construed. And that's the thing here. And so that's how we're spiritually growing here. It feels pile 2 and balance. This came out in pile 1. 222, maintain harmony and balance in your life to manifest your desires. All right, so this is so funny. This cracks me up. All right, so we've got, look, face the shadow. Yeah, this is a part of the shadow. This is a part of the shadow aspect. And it's really powerful, right? This is about alignment with your journey. And so we have the shadow aspect. This is like the rebirth, shedding of the old skin, letting go of the old paradigms that have been holding you back, but also receiving guidance from source. And sometimes that guidance can be a challenge, but it's necessary for us to grow, right? It's a long, arduous journey, but it's necessary for us to grow. There's this beautiful quote that I saw the other day when I was reading a manhwa online. I like to read anime and stuff like that, manga. I love it. And so there was this comic that I was reading, and he said, water and sunlight are necessary and great, but it's through enduring the storms and the strong winds that a tree grows strong. And that's really powerful. Like, think about that for a minute, right? Sunlight and water, like the lifeblood of life, and sunlight, these beautiful things that are given to us, those are all beautiful things and they're great. But we don't grow truly strong until we endure the hardships that we go through. That's when we grow truly strong. Okay, so let's take this. Surrender. I release my need to control. And holding on to something, and holding on to resentment, holding on to blame, these are all things that we're trying to control. Okay, so let's take a look. This cracks me up that I did that. I don't know why. That's just so funny to me. Let's take a look at this card, and we're going to read it from the book and see what it has to say. Gratitude. I'm thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. And this is talking about, right, being grateful for the situation. Was there a card that came out that said that? Like, being grateful for the things? Well, love said I'll see the good in all things. But like, gratitude reminds us, like, it's good to be grateful for even the hard things, right? What is that Akon song? God, thank you for sunshine. Thank you for rain. Thank you for joy. Thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Yeah. Right? Like, he is saying thank you for everything, because it's not about what we go through. Our gratitude is literally us claiming thank you for life. Even if it's bad, even if it's great, even if it's hard and challenging, even if it's joyous and free. Thank you for life, because life is a blessing that is denied so many people. And that's why our gratitude is so profound and beautiful. It says this soulful card is telling you that it is time to stop. Close your eyes and become mindful of the incredible gift the universe has bestowed upon you, and offering valuable and unique lessons tailored especially for your soul. This is an important reminder to express your appreciation for what has been, what will be, and most importantly, who you are. It is time to acknowledge the universe how thankful you are for being provided these opportunities for insight and understanding. It is also time for your soul to share recognition of all those loved ones in your life, upon the earth or in spirit, who have helped you form who you are now. You may even find it helpful to begin to write a list of all the things you're grateful for in your life. When you put forth the contemplation and the energy to do this, it awakens thoughts that acknowledge your connection to all that is. By bringing yourself into a state of gratitude, it not only has a transforming effect on the energy in the sacred space surrounding you, but it also brings about an overall sense of health and well-being. So reconnecting with your practice of gratitude is how you're going to ground yourself. And I feel like forgiveness is just something, it's a daily walk. Right? It's just a walk. Don't expect to forgive one time and it be over with. But as you continually and consistently show up forgiving yourself and forgiving others, one day, I can promise you, one day, pile 2, that you will forgive with a soft and peaceful heart. And it will mean something to you in that moment. And you'll be free in a way that you've never been free before. At least since that situation has happened to you, okay? So here's a big hug, pile 2. You're not alone. Remember, you are so loved and cared for and supported. But this is what I see here for you today. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little snake emoji down below and say, I evolve spiritually by choosing to see things from a higher perspective so that I can be an embodiment of unconditional love in this realm. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So with that, I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Pluto on it, or perhaps you felt called to this unicorn pendant, or maybe you were drawn to this self-love oracle deck by Akal Pritam, this is going to be your reading for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. This is for any and all planetary placements or housing placements. So this should help give you some guidance in regards to that area of your life. We're going to look into it. But if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. We're all here sharing this human experience together. I do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message happens to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out some more about this reading for you today. Okay, they want one more. All right, pile number 3, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Source, what would you like to share with us? What self-love oracle card is going to help us better understand this message today for pile number 3? Gemini, Libra, Aquarius for pile number 3, source. Thank you. All right. Bottom of the deck, we have the gift of freedom, your root chakra. So coming back to your grounding, your roots, this is where you'll have this freedom. This is where you'll have this sense of letting go. And I feel like really tapping in while also being able to ground in a gift that you have here. This could be a gift of one of the clairs, a gift of discernment. This could be the gift of prophetic dreams or prophetic knowledge. This could be a psychic gift, psychic mediumship. I do feel like remembering that when you stay grounded, it's easier for you to receive those messages from the divine to bring them into reality for yourself, whether that's sharing that with others or if that's using that for yourself. And remember that there is no obligation if you have a gift to share that with others. Like there's no obligation. Like if you're gifted with psychic mediumship or something like that, there's no law out there that says you have to give this to other people, right? You can absolutely use that for your own journey. That's enough. But as long as you're using it, right? Like that's important. It is important to continue to use it. And so I feel like that's something that's coming through. Interesting. And I believe this is crown chakra energy with this card just by the color, because the backs of them are the colors of the chakras that they are. So yeah, this is the crown chakra energy. So from the crown to the root, alignment here. So let's find out some more for you. Pile number 3 for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Source, what more would you like to share with us today for Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra? Okay, so we've got the 9th house. Yeah, something very spiritual here. Leo and Saturn. So I feel like it's been troublesome, or it's been a challenge for you to rely on your psychic gifts or the gifts that you have, whatever they are. There's just been a lot of turmoil around them and a lot of doubt maybe built up from other people. I also feel like there's been a lot of drama in regards to your gifts. Like people who really, they either really love them or they attack the crap out of you for them. And that could be just people that you've met in your life or people that have really just, wanted to say something to you. And it feels like sometimes there's no real in between. Like it's just either really people love it or people really hate it. And I feel like that's created a lot of drama for you and a lot of discord. And that's also been really hard for you to trust yourself. Like, when people are really down on you for your gift, and that could be family, it could be friends, it could be people that you've tried to help. It could be if you have an online community. Again, it doesn't have to be. Again, when we were talking about, there's no obligation for you to share your gift with others, right? It's just as long as you are using it for for good for yourself. Like, that's enough. And I feel like this is just that reminder, like, your spiritual growth really truly comes from not only trusting in the process, but trusting in your ability to follow that guidance that you're receiving. And there's been a lot of blockages that have come with that. So this could be like, the example they're giving me is like, I'm seeing a video. I don't know where I saw this video, but I saw this video. It was a long time ago. It was a little boy who, in the house, he was looking up at the vent. They had a vent in the roof, and he was talking to the vent, and he was having a full-blown out conversation. He was probably like 3 or 4, and he was talking to the vent, and he was answering questions that like it was like someone was really talking to him. And whoever was recording, whether it was the mom or the dad, like, they just kept going back and forth between the vent and the boy. And they have this caption under there, like, this little boy has taken his imaginary friends to new heights. Like, it's become uncontrollable. So, but the thing is I feel like that little boy had the gift of psychic mediumship. You know, kids especially are really connected to the divine realm because they just came from the divine realm. Like, they just barely got a foot in the earth, you know, so it makes sense that they would be able to connect much easier. But I feel like this could have been something like when you were a kid, you had a gift and somebody somewhere did something like that. Like, oh, you're too old for imaginary friends. And you're really like, I don't think that person's imaginary. Like, they're really real. Like, they're following me and stuff like this. And I feel like someone made fun of you sometime. And it doesn't have to be mediumship. It doesn't have to be psychic abilities. It could even be like art or music or your gift of speech, right? Or your ability to heal people. This is what it feels like, though. And it just feels like someone somewhere really put you down about that. And it's created a block for you. And now it's about grounding yourself in this moment so that you can let go of the block from that and develop the gift further. And that's where your freedom comes from, is trusting that this gift is divinely guided. And you're going to be I feel like you're going to be learning a lot more about it. Wow. Yeah, I really feel like you're going to be learning a lot more about it. But it's about letting go of the blockages that are there and the fear that's connected to that, and then just continuing to work at it. You know, especially with Saturn, Saturn is all about hard work, learning hard work and patience. And that's where rewards come from, is that hard work and patience. And it's just whatever you can learn about it, that's going to benefit you greatly. So if it's art, you know, learning different art styles. If it's paint, learning different paint styles, learning about the colors, learning about how to mix and match, right? Like, if it's music, learning about different music styles. If it's psychic abilities, learning about different ways to connect with your psychic abilities. And what are they all, right? Like, how do they benefit us, and how can we tap into those things? Like, that's what it feels like. It's just like gaining information here, more and more about that. And that's going to really help you on your journey. And it's going to help you feel a lot more connected to your purpose. And it's going to help you feel a lot more free from those situations that were incredibly challenging for you, or really filled with a lot of judgment. Criticism is the thing that keeps coming through here. Pile number 3 source for Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. What more would you like to share with pile number 3? Thank you. Oh, they want it this way. Okay, thanks. For pile number 3 source, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. What more would you like to share with them? Yeah. And remembering that wisdom is just a process, right? Like, there's no, like, you're not going to be perfect at it overnight or anything like that. It's just allowing it to unfold. There's a lot of abundance here for you in this. And, I mean, it could be money. It could be money, right? With the 9 of coins, the coins representing the material world. But more than anything, I just feel like this is about gathering that abundance for this physical world. So that's the abundance of wisdom, of knowledge, of clarity, of discerning, you know, your journey or people. There's a lot of abundance that can be more than just money and more than just material gain. But it is going to affect and impact the material world. You could have been dealing, like, it could have been a Virgo who did this to you. Or a Virgo is going to help you release yourself from the situation. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear in regards to this. Okay. Committing to the journey brings a lot of fear for you. It's like when you commit to doing this, or like when you look into it, or like say you're someone who creates music and you start creating music and you write songs, like you write what you feel and it comes out and you might share it with somebody. And people are like, wow, that's really good. But you're the one that's like nitpicking and pulling it apart. Like, no, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Or like if you're writing, right? Maybe you're writing something and it's like, you're really nitpicking at things, even though like if you were to share it with someone, if you were brave enough, right? That it takes a lot of courage to share it with other people, especially because it's like, it's sharing a part of your soul. It's sharing a part of your heart. And so if you were to share that with someone else and they were saying like, wow, this is really good. You're like, oh, thanks, but, and then you have all these criticisms to put onto it, right? And that's the block. That's where the block's coming from. The same with if you have a gift, a psychic gift, is like it's benefiting others and you're like, cool, like people are like, wow, you do a really good job, you know, and then, but you think about all the negative that's come with that. Yeah, but, and then there's XYZ that's coming out. So there's a lot of fear and anxiety when you start to commit to the journey. And I feel like that commitment is only for a short amount of time and then you take a break. And then it's for a short amount of time and then you take a break. And then it's for a short amount of time and then you take a break. Instead of consistently showing up because the fear becomes overwhelming. But what they're saying here, pile 3, is that when you consistently commit and just face the fear as it comes up, you're going to face those triggers as they arise. And when they arise and you face them in that moment, that's when you're going to be able to heal and let go of them. Especially with the Hermit energy here next to the Pope. It's just reminding you that it's okay for you to commit, and that's how you're going to face it, because otherwise, it's going to be through the process of how it's been always, where there's some people who are going to praise you and there's some people who are going to hate you. And that hate is always going to bring more weight with it because it's so negative, and negative energy is heavy. And that's what it does. It's very weighty and it weighs on our heart and soul. And that's the thing. And it's like, you can either face it yourself by staying consistent and being grounded in your abilities, or the opposite will happen where you're going to have to face it by the negative feedback. It's not to say that you facing it by staying consistent isn't going to be receiving negative feedback. What happens though is that through your consistency, you're building a better foundation for yourself and honoring yourself through the process, because you're showing up when the triggers arise just by you being by yourself. Right? You're like, oh my gosh, like this is a trigger. Like, let me work through it by staying consistent with the journey. Even if that's when the trigger arises, you still show up for 5 minutes every day, right? It's not about the time. It's just about making some space to show up. And I know that can be a challenge, but that's what this really feels like. It's just about making that space. And that's how you're going to fight the anxiety and the fear that's connected to your gifts, your abilities here. Because there's something really freeing about this journey for you, where you're going to, when you get through, you're going to get through it. No matter which direction you take, you're going to get through it. As long as you keep showing up, you're going to get through it. You're going to get there. You're going to complete the project. You're going to complete the assignment. You're going to get through the mission, right? Whichever route you take, as long as you show up, I'm just going to say it that way. As long as you show up, you will overcome this, but it will be varying. It'll be differing the way you show up. And so you can either elicit those triggers yourself by hitting the edge of the box, the limits that we've set for ourselves. We're hitting those limits. That's where those triggers arise at. Or you can let those triggers come through other sources, you know, and there's no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong here. It's just what you feel is best for you, or how it'll play out is dependent on how you show up. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, this is asking for your spiritual growth though. Okay, with the 9th house. You got 9th house twice here. Yeah, so this is a spiritual growth. This is the process. Right now, your chapter of life is about bringing abundance and freedom by facing the anxiety that you have in regards to your ability to create, whatever that is, okay? Yeah, we have air signs here with Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, open-mindedness, objectivity, and learning. Yeah, so there's just this process of going through it. It is a challenge. There is something to overcome. But as long as you keep an open mind and you keep learning and you stay objective to the journey, like, you're going to overcome it. You're going to get through it. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yeah, so everything's gonna be alright. You're gonna get there. It'll be good. My poor cards. I've used these poor cards so much, but I love them. I can't help but love them. Yeah. Okay, so with Island Solitude, like, this is Source saying, like, we're giving you the go-ahead to do this through your own venture by yourself. You can absolutely receive those triggers from outside sources. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like this is Source just saying, like, you're going to get a lot further if you choose to face those triggers when they come, when the fear arises as you're facing the project or as you're facing the creativity. Like, you're going to gain a lot more in a much shorter period of time with Island and Solitude coming through. Okay. And the other thing is too, is like, we have to go the journey alone. And I feel like that's also what Source is saying. Like, this is something that you're just going to have to get through alone. It's just something you're going to have to work through. Like, no one else can heal you for you, right? We have Oma here with Watch Your Words. Be kind to yourself. The main thing here is to be kind to yourself. Okay. On the bottom, we have Dryad. Yeah, so protect your energy here. Okay, keeping yourself safe. And I feel like that's where really you stay safe, is working through these triggers while you're going through the project itself and not receiving feedback from others, because you can actually let that feedback be like a knife in your aura and rip open energetic holes where you lose energy. Right? Because it hurts so much. It's something that, and it's okay that it hurts. It's meant to hurt. I mean, that's just part of the journey, but it's like you, again, choosing this protection over just the kind of chaos that where you bump around between everyone else and are looking for validation. There's this sense of looking for validation from others, but even that validation from others isn't necessarily quite enough. And so what ends up happening is the people who don't like you or dislike what it is that you have to offer, that's what hurts, right? Like, that's what hurts. And it's scary. Like, I get that. Okay. I think any content creator gets that, because when you put yourself out there, this is a very vulnerable place. And you're open to all kinds of chaos. But you have to have this sense of self-belief that's strong enough that no matter what people say, and they're going to say some crazy things, and also equally understanding there are going to be people who say some really beautiful and kind things to you, which is so worth it, right? But you have to be so strong in yourself that no matter what people say to you, you believe in yourself, regardless if they love you or they don't. You have to believe in yourself, pile 3. Yeah, this is where abundance comes from, is that self-belief. Trusting yourself. The journey is for you. It's not for everyone else. But it doesn't mean that our journey can't benefit others, right? Our journey can absolutely benefit others. And that's a beautiful thing too when that happens. But the journey itself is for us. And that's why when we look for validation, we're doing ourselves a disservice. Just a second, Zoe. Alignment, 111. Your thoughts are manifesting rapidly. Trust in divine guidance and stay focused on your goals. Yeah, so trusting in this process, your thoughts are manifesting. Be kind to yourself, right? Good things come from kindness to self. It's like, if you don't believe in you, you can't expect others to believe in you, right? And sometimes that's kind of a conundrum, because we've been told that others have to believe in us first for us to believe in ourselves. And that's not true. Take action. Time to implement long cherished ideas. You're on the right track towards making your dreams and visions a reality. The right people, circumstances, and resources are being sent your way. Happiness and new opportunities are at hand. Yeah. So taking action for yourself, right? On the bottom, we have calmness. Trusting your intuition. It is inevitable that you will encounter urgent and difficult things in life. And this is when you must be calm. Like a lighthouse in a storm, calmness allows you to not be swayed by emotions and to think rationally about solutions. Yeah. So what a powerful message to come out, right? Not be swayed by emotions, how others might make us feel along the journey. It's what they didn't really make us feel that way. It's just that we felt a certain reaction to what they did or said or how they showed up. So maybe we can say that it's their fault, but ultimately it's in regards to our own initial wounds and our own thought patterns and processes that's making us feel that way, which is why our emotions are ours alone. Nurturing with Gaia, taking care of yourself. And I feel like this is a very nurturing act to work through the triggers by yourself through the process of you putting in the effort. That's a very nurturing act. But DNA karma, this is also you clearing out generational wounds. So maybe you come from a family who they've all been talented in some way, but no one's truly put themselves out with their talent. Maybe you come from a family where everybody had a great singing voice, but no one put themselves out there. You came from a family where everybody was a great writer in some way, shape, or form. Maybe your grandma wrote poetry and your mom wrote short stories, or your dad wrote, little essays that were really good to read or something like that, but no one did anything with them. And maybe you want to be an author and be published out there. But it's like, that's something you're healing. It's something that's come down from the lineage that you're healing. Surrender to the process. When we surrender to what our intuition tells us, we get so far. And I can attest to how challenging that is, because the emotions come up and our coping mechanisms take over sometimes on autopilot. And so we have to be consciously aware of our actions at every moment so that we don't let our coping mechanisms become autopilot. We become aware of them and we shift accordingly in that moment. So your angel numbers changes 454. Embrace change and take courageous steps to unlock opportunities for personal growth and spiritual transformation. So there's a lot that's changing for you, and I feel like you're in the process of eliciting that change. Okay, so let's take a look at your card. I'm going to read it from the book. This one here. What do we have? The gift of connection, the crown chakra. Yeah. So there's something here. You're going to be connecting with a lot of people. I also feel like there's going to be a lot of people who really appreciate what it is that you have to share. And believing in yourself is the first foremost thing to do here. Okay. So let's see what the gift of connection says. It says intimacy is your divine human purpose. Yeah, you're meant to bring people together. This is a message to surrender. Okay, surrender. The beginning and the end of all relationships, focusing instead on authentic connections in the present. Okay, so what happened in the past is not who you are now. This is where you will find the most opportunity to learn, grow, and feel fulfilled. If you felt lonely or have longed to be understood, you have a wonderful opportunity before you. Every prayer's answer is right there alongside the call. Trust this and see that it is only a trick of the mind that hides what you seek. Firstly, do not let anything or anyone stand in the way of you connecting to and opening up your heart, mastering self-loving. Then reach out and touch people, mend your relationships, give beautiful smiles and songs to others, and welcome smiles in return. Yeah, so many of you might be connected to music. No matter how disconnected you feel, everything about you is vibrating and affecting everybody else in your surroundings. Your mind, your heart, your astral projection, and your magnetic field vibrates. So command this vibration to be warm, compassionate, kind, happy, and grateful. In this state of love, your magnetic field will draw others to you. Be prepared for this. Have healthy boundaries and yet completely non-defensive. Master disarming others with a twinkle of your eye or a touch of your hand. You will elevate everyone you meet or to soften and receive the love in your heart. And your suggested practice for this card is, could you match your number of social media connections with real life connections? Listen, listen, listen with your smiling eyes. Speak less. Connect to everyone you meet by looking into their eyes and smiling. Hug those you love often and for more than 20 seconds. Soften and melt together. Find something to like in everyone you meet without exception. Yeah, so this is a really beautiful thing, and I feel like that's really powerful too. It's reminding you that everybody is connected, and so even the hurtful situations, there's still a connection there. There's still something there for you. And that's hard sometimes because we just want to deny all the hard things. Like we just want to turn and run from all the hard things. Like, no, that's not for me. That has nothing to do with me. I'm an innocent victim in all of this. And sometimes maybe we are, but everybody is connected. The whole world, every living, breathing thing in the world is connected. We're all tied together and living in this world together. And there's nothing that will keep us disconnected from one another except for the mind. The mind is a powerful thing. And I feel like that's what it's reminding you here, is that you can let your mind talk you out of what you want by believing in the negative things, which are going to happen naturally in life. There's people who are just negative. There's no rhyme or reason to why they're negative. They're just negative. It's the balance of the world. You can trust the people who are positive. Again, no rhyme or reason as to why they're positive. They're just positive people. It's the way of the world. Or you can come back to a centered, grounded place and trust yourself while remembering that we're all connected. And if people can affect me, then as long as I'm centered and grounded in myself, that means that I too can affect others. And I can affect them in a way that best suits me for my journey. I always tell people, be the change you wish to see. Right? That's the thing. And it's like, that's, what is it? I can't remember. There's a slogan. I don't know if that's for the army or whatever, but or be all that you can be. That's what the army was. No, but if you want change in the world, don't expect others to become that change, but you can expect yourself to be that change first, which gives people permission to bring that change for themselves. That's where power lies at. We're not mastering others. We're mastering ourselves. That's where true power lives. That's where true abundance lives. And that's where true wisdom is gained. Okay, so this is what I see for you today, pile number 3. If you felt like this was your message, leave the little world emoji down below and say, by connecting and mastering myself, my inner world, I am able to elicit positive, loving change in the world I see with my eyes. And if it resonated with you, it'd mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message today. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.